DJ Long Hair in the morning. Good load. I'm here though. Hello, hello. Let's go ahead and wake up a little bit. Crack this purple giant, baby. Oh yeah. I hope everyone's awake, bright-eyed, and quite literally bushy-tailed for today's event. I've been waiting for this to come out. I'm stoked. Cheers, everyone. Woo woo. What do we got in here? SolarGod. What's good, bro? How you doing?
SolarGod.
That's right. Juggalo, what's up? NaughtyBot should work now. Does need an update. I don't think I have one for Solar. I'm not sure, but I know you're in there. Good morning to you, sir. Yeah, these mornings, man. Oh boy. Alrighty. Let's see here. Brian Giles, what's good, brother? Thanks for the call this morning. Much appreciated. Oh yeah.
Have no fear, students. Because I am here.
That's right. Good morning. Bushy-tailed indeed, right? Right. Hey, Rolando Flores. How you doing, buddy? Good morning to you. We're showcasing a set coming out today. Gonna see who's got it first. Because you can see there's a little blip over here on the Magic channel on Twitch. They usually have some very entertaining comments. So, hell yeah. But I got YouTube backed up as well. I'm pretty stoked. I don't know about y'all. But, yeah, I am. Let's see. That was a nice little fluffy track there to start us off here. Let's check out the other one. I think the other one was not as good, but we'll see. We'll see. Yep. All right. Yeah, the avatar pick's awesome. Rolando's from our friends over at Weird Fantastic Toys. Thanks for joining us, man. Not sure if you're a Magic Cat or not, but we're going to be covering this live, baby. Oh, yeah. Like, blah, 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 blah. Thank you, Walter Griffin. Much appreciated. Yeah, all right. I'll flip over to there. Good call, brother. All right. Yeah, they're rip roaring over here. For some reason, maybe they're not showcasing that on Twitch, and we have to go over to Twitch or something. I don't know. There's a little blip there, so that should be a thing here in 5 minutes. We'll see. Oop. Oh, here we go. Nothing yet? It says 3 minutes. That's right. Right there. We want squirrels. That's what I'm here for. Ban Nadu. Yeah, they're not going to. They'll ban everything around Nadu, but not Nadu. It says it's live. See if we can blow it up a little bit. There we go. Oh, no. I almost hit chat. Nah, dude. What's up, Benson? How you doing? Excuse me. We'll be kind of flipping back and forth here. Damn, Toast Hat. It's pretty hilarious over here, too. They want to unban Twin, but ban Nadu. F the bird. Just bolt the bird. You can't, bro. You need 2 bolts. Come on, man. CDH is fine. Sure it is. Why is it not showing anything yet? It says live, and then... Okay. Alright, just gotta go. Cute and all, but nah. Alright, that was interesting stuff. Let's try that again, and... All right, we have a couple more minutes here. Flipping back and forth between Twitch and YouTube. Let's see here. That's a good question. All right. Is it going to be utterly nonsense? Yes, it will be. Capiadra Horizon. What? Elfar squirrels? All right, we got 1 minute left. Yeah, it'd be cool if they put Pendle Heaven in the set. All right, which 1 minute? Which one's going first? Someone says bats. Yeah, frog is Nissa? Huh. Yeah, it would be cool if they fleshed out raccoons too. Very similar over here on YouTube. Go over here. Everyone's pretty pumped. You know, a lot of the other ones, you see a lot of negativity. So, all right, well, it's 8:55. I don't see a start yet.
Energy and hydration critically low. Find energy now. Energy and hydration restored.
With so many choices on Booking.com, there are so many Tina fans I could be.
That music be any louder.
Indoorsy Tina loves a deluxe suite.
Yeah, furry time. Nice. There we go. Let's go over here. At least the music's nicer. There we go. Woot.
Welcome to Valley, a world filled to the brim with creatures, big and small, all working together as they share in the prosperity and safety of their communities. The largest settlement in Valley is Three Tree City, a massive dwelling at the conjunction of the forests and the Long River, built across three ancient intertwined trees. It's home to a variety of animal folk, and designed to accommodate their different sizes and shapes, whether these creatures are most comfortable in water, or land, or in the sky. Three Tree City has a place for them to call home. The upper branches of Three Tree City are filled with a dazzling array of bird folk, capable of great deeds of chivalry and selflessness. The bird folk are known for their inability to ignore injustice. Perhaps nothing demonstrates the character of the birdfolk quite like the Plume Creed, a risky venture to the tip of the world, a mighty peak that no one but a brave birdfolk can reach. You can recognize a birdfolk who has completed the Plume Creed by the single feather they wear atop their head. Included in this set are several booster fun treatments to collect, one being the borderless raised foil anime cards. Dazzling raised gold foiling and exciting anime art make these cards the apex of collectability. Find English versions globally in Collector Boosters, and Japanese versions exclusively in Japanese Collector Boosters. The charming new Showcase Woodland Frame treatment reads Kindred faction cards in frames of foliage, evoking a sense of pastoral beauty and natural elegance. They encapsulate the cozy energy of Bloomburrow and allow players to showcase their fondness for these kindred animals and express their own unique personalities.
Oh,
the
really?
closest natural allies of the
They also
birdfolk
said
are the mouse
Japanese,
folk,
right?
plucky,
So
loyal seekers of adventure and glory. Mousefolk have large interconnected families. There are few problems mousefolk can't overcome together. All the animal folk of Valley cherish their young, and springtime is particularly rich with new life. The new mechanic, Offspring enables you to create 1/1 creature tokens that represent the young version of an animal species.
Wow.
The offspring of your animal folk will have the same abilities as the parent creature. The only difference is their 1/1 power and toughness. They are still children after all. These young creatures of Valley show promise and are eager to take on the adventures that lie ahead. Rabbit folk are also community-focused, as well as being talented chefs and farmers who provide
So
food to most
mouses,
of the creatures in
boros,
Valley.
rabbits, Celestia, I'm
They're
guessing.
conflict-averse as a rule, preferring to let trouble blow over them rather than stick their noses in it. That doesn't mean that they can't defend themselves, though. Phineas is one such guardian of the animal folk in Valley.
Called it.
This adeptly trained archer stands ready to protect his home from afar, as well as his companions as they venture through Valley. Gathering together is a surefire path to strength. Bloomburrow encourages your creatures to band together so they can gain extra benefits. These kindred animal folk must share with each other in order to survive. The new mechanic, Gift, allows you to gift your opponent a benefit to reap more value out of a spell or artifact. The gift varies depending on the card. It might be food tokens, an extra card, a 1/1 fish, or something else. Through their natural durability, the strength of their kindred bonds, and the willingness to share, the animal folk of Valley can survive almost anything. There are those in Valley that prefer moonlight to sunlight. Bat folk are deeply protective of
There you
their
go,
community,
bats.
occasionally superstitious, and focused on maintaining the balance between all things: light and darkness, life and death, and of course, day and night. Nocturnal creatures, they use the moon and stars to determine their choices and fuel their magic. As a result of being awake when others are asleep, they serve as silent guardians of the vulnerable creatures of Valley. Raccoon folk are free-spirited wanderers, collectors, and entertainers. Moira, Trash Tactician, wields new
Nice.
mechanic,
Trash
Expend,
pandas. Woo woo.
rewarding you for spending 4 or more mana in a single turn. This fearsome raccoon also likes to work closely with fellow raccoon folk, adding red or green mana for each raccoon you control.
Nice.
Rather than settling down in Three Tree City or elsewhere, raccoons spend their lives on the move, acquiring a hoard of objects along the way. Some may call it trash, but to a raccoon, every broken teapot and piece of wagon wheel
That's
is
right.
a treasure.
Trash pandas. Woo
There are
woo.
even more creatures who thrive in odd and adverse circumstances in Three Tree City. The lizard folk are a culture of expressive artists. They value creation and destruction in equal measure. Lizards also have a spiritual attachment to fire.
Hey.
As cold-blooded creatures, they rely on the heat
Practice
from
lizard.
flame
Woo woo.
when sunbathing is not an option. Lizard
Rocket,
communities can
yep.
often be found bundled together around a fire or furnace, sharing this sacred connection. The squirrel folk are morbid stewards of land and the life-death cycle. Though they focus mostly on burying the remains of the dead, a select few squirrel folk are able to bring bones back from the grave for their own purposes. The
Nice.
squirrel folk have also become expert at maintaining themselves through caches of food, collected through the art of foraging. The new mechanic, Forage,
Yes,
is a
2 squirrels.
squirrel-themed
Woo.
mechanic that allows you to exile 3 cards from your graveyard or sacrifice a food token to gain an effect. Rat folk are isolationist keepers
All
of
right.
secrets and
some
ancient
rats.
relics.
Woo woo.
They have survived harsh
Ah.
circumstances by forming psychic
Demir.
connections with native insects. With their insect companion by their side, rat folk can be quite formidable in a pinch. Down by the waterways of Three Tree City, entirely
by the
different
river.
groups make
Let's
their
go.
home. The otter folk are playful and fun-loving, with a strong daredevil streak. They seek thrills by storm chasing, the practice of following menacing creatures called calamity beasts as closely as possible, until the danger becomes too great even for these adventurous critters. The frog folk are curious and intelligent. They possess a unique culture of augury, which allows them a limited understanding of the future. While their foresight makes them an instrumental part of life in Valley, it also results in many frogs being fatalistic. It's hard to smile when you can always see the waiting doom. Sometimes the frog folk, acting on their own foresight, can bring doom upon themselves. The wizard Glab, for instance, has recently stolen an egg from the great night owl, inviting retaliatory wrath from the powerfully winged creature of darkness. This legendary elemental bird carries night on its wings that blackens the sky. Maha is just one of the many dangers across Valley. These animal folk must coexist with calamity beasts, mighty creatures which blur the line between flesh and blood animals and elemental forces of nature. And for naturalists, the borderless field notes treatment captures the raw power of calamity beasts, rendered in the wild by a loving hand. But the people of Three Tree City are not helpless. The great hero Mabel forms a party of adventurers to protect Valley against the calamity beasts, aided by the now transformed Ral Zarek, who is more than happy to lend a paw. Since there are no humans to be found on Bloomburrow, Ral has magically transformed into an otter upon arriving on this plane. How interesting. But even without help from allies outside of Valley, the animal folk are capable of using magic to defend themselves. A cycle of modal spells allows you to select from a list of 3 abilities. In this set, they're each valued at 1, 2, or 3 paws. Choose up to 5 paws worth to gain those effects. You may even choose the same mode more than once. The card type class is returning with a focus on bakers, blacksmiths, artists, and other villagers. Pay the mana cost at each level to gain its ability, working your way down to all 3. Life goes on in Valley. The turning of the seasons, the tilling of the earth, and the occasional upheaval are all aspects of the everyday to these brave critters. It is not the mighty warriors that make Three Tree City what it is, but the little folk who carry on day after day. There are also heroes and commanders in Valley who are truly adept at inspiring the animals around them. Led by Bello, Bard of the Brambles, the animated army deck lets you ramp into impressive calamity beasts, cast expensive permanents to synergize with the main set's expend mechanic. With Commander Zinnia, Valley's voice, the Family Matters deck specializes in doubling up on enters the battlefield effects by granting your creatures offspring. Fill the board with 1/1 token versions of your creatures. Hazel of the Root Bloom leads the Squirreled Away deck. Outvalue your foes with a combination of squirrel and food tokens. This deck includes some traditional Kindred effects for squirrel fans. With the Peace Offering deck, Ms. Bumbleflower hands out cards using the gift mechanic. This deck evokes a group hug style of play that's friendly, until it isn't. In addition to the main set's Imagine Courageous Critters cards, Tamio is one of 4 that can be found in the Commander decks. Because Bloomburrow has its own unique aesthetic, planeswalkers and creatures who happen to end up here, like Ral, are transformed into denizens of Valley. With the Imagine Courageous Critters treatment, your favorite planeswalkers and creatures have been utterly transformed by the adorable lens of Bloomburrow, which brings out their inner animal folk. See powerful creatures and favorite planeswalkers as squirrels, birds, bats, otters, and more. Like this sly planeswalker, if he were to appear here in the land of animal folk. And characters aren't the only ones to get a reimagining. Powerful weapons also take on new forms in the Bloomburrow setting. The Sword of Fire and Ice looks a little different when wielded by an otter. If you'd like to visit Three Tree City and all the creatures of Valley, you'll have your chance soon. You can play early at your local game store for pre-release starting the weekend of July the 26th and on MTG Arena on July the 30th. Otherwise, we'll see you on August the 2nd when Bloomburrow will be available everywhere. Keep an eye out for the Buy a Box promo and bundle promo cards. Learn
Alright.
more about the adventures of Mabel and her party with story episodes now online at magic.wizards.com. Until then, we hope you'll come visit us soon in our peaceful valley under the trees.
Well, the art is top notch for sure. And I said fur. That's right. All right, let's see what those comments are looking like. I think no, I didn't want that. Go away. Yeah.
Hello and
Here we
welcome
go.
to the weekly
Blake,
KingTG
welcome
after
back.
show for Bloomburrow. Hopefully you've just seen a ton of cool stuff from the upcoming set. We're going to spend the next hour diving into a lot of what you've just seen, including mechanics, the archetypes, Calamity Beast. We're going to see some promos. We're, of course, going to look at preview cards. But we're going to dive deep into all of that.
As soon as the spoilers are done, we'll see our first box openings.
Adorable set.
No chance for anyone, man.
We have with us today in the studio Ian Duke and Oliver too, who are, well, I'll just let you introduce yourselves. What was your part in this set?
Hey everyone, I'm Ian Duke. I was the set design lead for Bloomburrow, which means I was responsible from taking the vision handoff all the way through iterating on the card set itself, sculpting the limited format, and seeing the set through playtesting process.
All right, Oliver.
I'm Oliver. I'm a game designer, part of the play design team. I worked a lot on Bloomburrow during its set design process and worked a lot on the limited and standard applications of the set.
Great. So yeah, these are two of the best people to walk us through this set. So we're going to start going through a bunch of mechanics and preview cards and all of that sort of stuff. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in chat. I'm not going to guarantee we get to them because we've got a lot to get through today. It always helps me if you tag @Magic, and I'll keep an eye out for them and ask what I can. But we're going to launch right into it with one of the coolest new mechanics, Ian. I say coolest, but it's adorable, which is Offspring.
It's so sweet.
And our first preview card, which is pretty powerful here, Warren Warleader.
All right.
Is a 4/4 Rabbit Knight with that Offspring ability, and whenever you attack, you either get to make a rabbit or give everything +1/+1. So tell us a bit about this Offspring ability.
Yeah, Offspring is sort of a kicker-like mechanic that appears on creatures, where if you spend a little bit of extra mana, you get an additional copy of that creature, except the copy is a little bit 1/1. And what's super cool about this mechanic, sort of mechanically and gameplay-wise, is that the creatures often self-synergize, meaning if you have the multiple copies of them from using the Offspring mechanic, they kind of combo together in some way. So the Warren
It's
Warrior
too cheaper than that cat that's in the
sort of
Loaded Scroll
ability
game.
here can either make tokens or give your team a boost, or you can kind of mix and match the two over the course of a couple turns.
Great. And I noticed something down there. This token's mana cost is 2 white, and I saw a question in chat asking, do the tokens always have a mana value?
They do. They are copies of the creature, so they inherit the mana value that the base creature has.
Okay, and they're all adorable little 1/1s?
Yes.
Do they all come with little tokens like that?
They do. They all have their individual tokens, so you can kind of collect those as you go.
And I think we've got another Offspring card here with its own adorable little token. Tender Wild Guy.
Aw, possum.
Producer Sean was adamant about us getting this one in the show. It's a little possum, and it's adorable. It's got its little buddy there. Makes mana, can put +1/+1 counters on creatures.
Wow. The little guys.
Next, let's move on to another mechanic that's really nice. It's just, you're just giving people stuff, Oliver. So tell us about Gift and this first card, Kidnap.
Yeah, so Gift is also similar to Kicker, except instead of paying additional mana, you give your opponent, or in multiplayer, you get to choose an opponent to receive the gift. And it's often a card, a food, or a fish token.
The fish token one makes me happy. Gifting a fish, it feels very Bloomburrow.
Yeah, so depending on how powerful the reward is the gift they are giving kind of is related to that. Card is generally like the most costly gift.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about Kidnap here.
Yeah, so Kidnap, it's either, if you don't give the gift, it's kind of a delayed
Hey,
mind
Cathartic, good to
control
see ya.
because you can't start attacking with the creature until 3 turns later. But if you do give the gift, you get a full mind control, but it's not card advantage in the same sense mind control generally is because you're giving your opponent a card. But you get a big tempo advantage, so it's still a very powerful play.
All right, we have another gift card here to show, which is a simpler version of the gift mechanic. Wear Down. Is this what, Oliver, is sort of the balance we see between the different kinds of gifts in the set?
Yeah, so I'd say if you're getting like a full card in reward, generally you're giving a card. If you're getting a more minor reward, then you'll get a fish or a food token.
Okay, so yeah, so like Wear Down here, it's a naturalize effect, but you can destroy 2 if you give a card, like you said. Cool, makes sense. All right, now let's look at Expend. So we've got Wandertail Mentor here. So Ian, tell us a little bit about Expend.
Expend is a mechanic associated with the raccoon creature type, which appears in red and green. And what Expend says is when you spend your 4th mana on casting spells this turn, you get a little bonus. And you can sort of divide that up whichever way you choose. You could cast 1 big spell that costs 4 or more mana, or you could cast, say, 2 spells that cost 2 mana each. And when you cast the second one, you'll get your Expend trigger. And it always appears on permanent cards, typically creatures like this, where you'll get the bonus after you cast spells when this is already on the battlefield.
And I see it specifically calls that Expend 4. Are there different mana costs with Expend in the set?
I sort of glossed over that a little bit. There are a few cards that have different Expend costs, but most of them are 4 at lower rarities. And then there's a couple more exciting ones at high rarities that have, I think, Expend 8 is one of the examples.
Well, I think we saw one of those more exciting ones in the debut. So let's look at Mwera Trash Tactician. So this one, again, has that Expend 4, but it does have Expend 8 as well.
Yep, so you sort of get the basic or the moderate bonus if you spend 4 mana in a turn, but if you can spend all the way up to 8, you get that big, exciting bonus as well.
Makes sense. Now, we haven't paused on this yet, on the treatments, but we showed a lot of the treatments in the debut video, Ian, and then we also have shown a couple here. So let's start talking about these. So this is the Borderless Raised anime card. Where and how can people pick these up?
So these are available in collector boosters only, and they're all in the foil raised treatment. There are 20 cards in the set that have this treatment, and you can get them in collector boosters of any language. They'll usually be English language, but the Japanese collectors boosters have the Japanese language versions of them as well.
Cool. All right, and we'll talk more about treatments as we go along, but if you have questions about treatments, we will try to answer those, or you can put them in chat. I will pause and say I'm seeing a lot of questions in chat about bans. We're not going to talk about that today. We're here to focus on Bloomburrow, so we'll get to that. Don't worry. Another day, another time. Today we're talking about Bloomburrow.
So everyone's all. What about Nadu? What about Nadu? What about Nadu?
Oliver, which is Forage. So Forage, we've got Thorn Vault Forager here. Appropriate name. It's a 2-mana, mana dork, but it has that Forage. Add 2 mana in any combination of colors. It's also able to search for a squirrel, which is an ability we've all been waiting for a long time. But Oliver, let's focus on Forage. What
is squirrel?
So Forage is the black-green squirrel mechanic. You basically, to enable it, you have to sacrifice a food or exile 3 cards from your graveyard. So naturally, squirrels are going to be about acquiring food or putting cards in the graveyard. It's fun to combine these 2 things. Definitely very black-green feeling ability.
Yep. And we saw a card in the debut as well. So I love Thornveld Forager, but let's bring up Osteomancer Adept here. Oliver, tell us a little bit about this card as well.
Yeah, so this is kind of like a Underworld's Breach for creatures. So it's less repeatable than Underworld's Breach, but still gives a lot of the same kind of big turns. And I'd say with this one, it's a lot about you want to acquire food to enable it a lot of the time, because naturally if you use cards from your graveyard, you'll have less creatures to bring back. But black, tends to be better at getting cards into the graveyard than acquiring food. So if you're playing like a non-squirrel deck, it's probably going to be more about using cards in your graveyard to enable this.
Okay. In the Showcase Woodland treatment, we've seen a little bit of that so far, Ian. So tell us the story behind that.
So the Showcase Woodland treatment is available in both collector and play boosters, and you can get foil or non-foil versions of the cards. There's 42 different cards in the set. 7 of them are mythics, and the rest are regular rares.
All right. And also of note on the different treatments, we will have a collecting Bloomburrow article going up at the conclusion of the show that will have all the details. So if you're in it for the nitty gritty, you'll definitely
frickin' stoked.
Yeah, all right, now this next card is a returning mechanic, Oliver, we're going to Ian here, which we showed in the debut, which are the enchantment type class. So here we have Hunter's Talent. When it enters, target creature you control deals damage equal to its power, so it's a bite spell in that way. And then the second level is whenever you attack, target attacking creature gets +1/+0 and trample.
Nice.
And then at the beginning of your end step in level 3, if you control a bigger creature, you get to draw a card. So tell us a bit about classes, Ian.
Yeah, so this is returning mechanic, as you said. We first saw it in AFR, Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. And there, these were classes, sort of like D&D character classes. You know, you had Ranger and Paladin and Barbarian and things like that. Here, we're going for more sort of like pastoral classes, like jobs that you would see in a village, like a fisherman or a hunter or something along those lines.
Okay. What led you to include classes in this set?
It's just a really flavorful way of sort of showing the way that the animals sort of get together and have their own societies and structures and different jobs.
Okay. All right. Next up, we're going to look at this is one of the coolest cycles in the set, Oliver. It's a mythic.
All right,
set.
Walter,
There's
I
5
got
of
you. You can
these,
post your link, buddy.
Only 5 of these. But these are the seasons. So let's take a look at Season of Loss. And yeah, the card itself, very cool. You can make players sacrifice creatures, draw cards for creatures that die, and then make people lose life. But the paw print thing is a really cool innovation. So tell us
That's
about that.
neat.
Yeah, so I like to think of these as like currency cards. You basically get 5 currency.
Same collector invest.
Depending on how powerful each
And
ability is, it costs,
congrats, you one
an according
membership
amount
a
of
while
currency.
back.
So naturally, like the
I think
three
you
is
get
gonna
it
be the most
to
powerful,
the end
and
of the
that's
week or
the only
something.
one you can't choose multiple
I'm not sure.
times. But there's these are kind of similar to commands.
It should tell you.
From Brothers War. They're just like modal big effect cards, but unlike commands, you have more customizable ability.
And hit me up, guys. I should have pricing on the commander decks.
You're resolving this spell, you're
And I
spending all these
definitely
points
have
on the different
battles
modes.
going for
It's not like a
Bloomburrow
mechanic like energy, where you
and
can sort of
for
once you
play
overlap
boosters
them.
and collectors. And I got to connect
two
right now
twice and just be
for
like, I'm not
boxes
gonna
and,
do
of course, the
Save
Right,
commander
I'll
deck
save 1
sets.
point for later. No, that doesn't
So
work that way.
No, okay.
just hit me up
Also,
in
this one, the
Discord
order
or shoot me an
matters,
email.
like, since if you choose
I would
like
love to crack a case on the channel. That'd
3
be
1s
awesome.
and a 2,
But
the sack
let
will
me know, guys.
happen first, and then you draw cards accordingly afterwards.
Now we talk a lot about design knobs when we're talking about this. Seems to have a lot of knobs. How challenging were these to design?
These were really challenging, but we knew early on they were worth it. Just this sort of feeling of you get to mix and match and choose your own combinations, and sort of, these are many cards in one in a sense, because
Yeah, you want to
so much
invite
flexibility
Benson?
and so many different ways you can combine. But we did put a lot of effort into making sure that the different modes made sense with each other and combined in interesting ways, so that each different combination of modes sort of produced a different series of effects in an interesting way.
Okay, let's look at another season as well. That'll put us up to, I think, 3 seasons for the day. Season of the Bold. So the same, they're all 5 paw prints, right? All the same kind of.
Yeah, I think that is where we ended up. Yeah, we tried mixing different numbers, but 5 is what worked best.
Yeah.
All right. So the single paw print mode on this one is create a tapped treasure token. 2 is exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play them. And 3 is until the end of your next turn. Whenever you cast a spell, Season of the Bold deals 2 damage to up to 1 target creature. So Oliver, tell us a little bit more about this card.
Yeah, so this card is a lot more delayed than the black one, but it enables some really big turns if you just are able to spend your turn 5 just kind of taking off and setting up. But with the extra mana from treasures, extra cards, and the powerful board wipe ability, you could have some really big pop-off turns the following turn.
Now, I noticed that this creates tap treasure tokens, which seems to be something you all are doing a little bit more often. Is that intentional shift?
Yeah, very much so. It's just a little bit safer in terms of like the explosivity of having a big combo turn and so forth. In this case, you're getting 5 treasure tokens if you spend all of your points on the first mode. So we didn't want you to be able to get like all of your mana back all at once and then, you know, continue casting a bunch more spells.
You didn't want it to be a ritual that, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. It can be a ritual, but it's sort of at least delayed by 1
yeah.
turn, right? So you're setting up for your next turn.
Very cool. And there are 5 of these. They're all mythic.
Yep.
Yep. And they all get that really cool art treatment. Actually, let's go back to that real quick so that you can tell us about the borderless treatment.
Yeah, so these are example of the borderless treatment here. There are a few other cards that also have this. They're available in both foil and non-foil from both collector and play boosters.
All right. There it is. Yeah, the art on these is stunning. This set really just we say this every set.
I like the
you know, we hit a new level again.
Borderless is
the art is amazing and weird and pastoral and dark and all the kinds of things. I don't know. I'm really happy with it. And we're going to see more cool art coming up with. We're going to talk about the archetypes next.
Great.
So next up, we're going to go through all 10 of the archetypes. So Ian, why don't you first tell us kind of about the structure of the set with the different creatures and archetypes?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, the set has a really strong emphasis on creature types. And to reflect that, each of the 2 color pairs in limited when you're drafting will be associated with a particular creature type. So for example, in white-blue, we have birds. In red-black, we have lizards, and so on and so forth. We'll go through all of them. But the important thing to know is if you're drafting and you just choose a bunch of creatures of the same creature type, they will have a mechanical identity and your deck will come together in a coherent way. Vice versa, if you pick a color pair and you're doing the mechanical thing there, you'll end up with a lot of creatures of the same type. So it kind of feels like it's in lockstep there in a very cool way.
Cool. All right, so let's start things off with bats. This is the
there you go
black crew. Ian, tell us about what bats are up to.
So first off, all the bats have flying. So you'll see that as a common theme among them. And their sort of mechanical theme is caring about
bats have flying? No.
Losing life on your own turn. So you've got a lot of cards that are kind of in the space of a Johnny's Pride Mate, rewarding you for gaining life during your own turn. But because they're both white and black, they also reward you for paying life during your own turn. So if you have, for example, a black card draw spell that costs you some life and gives you some cards, that'll also often trigger some of your triggered abilities from your bats. So this card that we're showing here, the Moonrise Cleric, is just a very simpler enabler for that deck where it just attacks and gains you a life, and then it'll pop off all your triggers as a result.
Okay. Now, we've seen gaining life as an identity for white-black. We've seen losing life as how did you land on it being both for bats?
Just a really interesting way of combining both white and black. You know, bats often we think of like vampire bats as like sucking blood, right? So it's like, you know, dealing damage, but also gaining life. So it felt both flavorful and also a really unique way of combining the different color pies of white and black together.
Yeah. I also want to go back to that comment. I noticed that we're using hybrid mana symbols here. Can you talk a little bit about that more in the set?
Yeah, we do have a cycle of hybrid mana commons, and they're meant to sort of be a little bit of a signpost in terms of teaching you what that archetype is about. But because they're hybrid mana, they can sort of blend into the other archetypes as well. And this is a simple enough one that, you know, any deck might want to use this. For example, like a white-blue deck that's about, you know, birds that also have flying, for example, might want to include this. Just
that's right
to kind of erase your opponent, gain a little bit of life as you're attacking with an evasive creature.
All right, and we are going to show off all of the hybrid cycle of commons. All right, let's move over to Oliver and talk about rats with Mind Drill Assailant here. So Threshold, we saw in the debut is returning. Talk a little bit about that and how it works with the rats.
Yeah, so rats are all about thresholds. You just want to put cards in your graveyard. As you see, this one surveils to kind of enable itself. There's also like self-mill and looting. Naturally, blue-black likes that kind of stuff. And I'd say the rats also have kind of like a ninja flair about them. They have a lot of like hard-to-block creatures. They're a lot about nickel and diming your opponents rather than just going for a big swing, although this card is certainly capable of that. As you see, it becomes a 5/5 when you have the thresholds.
Well, I think our next preview card talks a little bit more, or shows a little bit more about that nickel and diming here.
Yeah, so this creature helps enable your other thresholds and itself with the looting, and then eventually just starts getting you full card advantage, which is what the rats really want.
All right. Next, let's move on to one that is sure to be a fan favorite, Ian, which is Blue-Red Otters. This might be my favorite.
Lots of tribal goodies, bruh.
They're adorable, but they're also spell
Welcome,
slingers. So
Dual
tell us
Brain.
about,
Yeah.
this otter wizard
Lots
and
of
the otters
spoilers.
in general.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, otters were super popular throughout playtesting here. This is the spell slinger deck that cares about casting instants and sorceries. So you'll see, for example, a lot of the otters have prowess or caring about instants and sorceries in some other way. And there's a couple different ways you can build this deck. You can either sort of be the classic tempo.
And make sure you guys stick around. I have a very nice little Insta commander deck kit.
Creatures or putting them
it's
off
nice little value for you. I'm setting it up right now.
The other way to do it is more of a controlling blue-red deck.
Stick around for that. It is
hashtag spells, and you're trying to prolong the game and then finish your opponent.
Bloom.
Yeah, and here's one of those prowess ones you're talking about. This seems like a powerful little wizard that combines a couple abilities we've not seen in the same place before.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one that, maybe even has some applications for constructed decks as well, just in terms of being able to pop off with a big flurry of spells in one turn and then hit your opponent for a bunch of damage.
All right. Next up, we're going to switch to black, red, and some lizards with Cindering.
Awesome.
Cutthroat.
Go Lizards.
A lizard assassin, which is a heck of a creature type line. But Oliver, tell us what the lizards are up to in this set.
Yeah, they're pretty aggro. They're like a bloodthirst type of archetype, so they're all about getting advantage after you dealt a bit of damage to your opponent. So really good with like pinging effects and small unblockable creatures to enable it.
Okay, it seems to me like some of these, we're getting a look at, we're going through the archetypes, and it seems to me like some of the archetypes are built to be a little bit more closely associated. So like we look at the black-white common, which it attacks, it makes them lose, or you gain a life. But their abilities to lose life, the lizards care about losing life. Are there any color pairs that are more intentionally, like more closely tied?
Yeah, one example of that, and we'll see this a little bit later on, is the Sultai color pairs, blue, black, and green, all care about the graveyard in some way. So if, we saw the squirrel mechanic earlier on was the keyword action forage, where you can exile cards from your graveyard to help pay for costs. On the flip side, rats care about threshold, right? So both those decks want to fill the graveyard. That would be an example. And we did put some effort into making sure that there was blending from one archetype to the next, because we didn't want them to be, totally siloed, like the mice are doing one thing and the birds are doing something completely different, because then sort of the draft would just divide up the cards among who's doing which archetype, and you're not competing for the same resources. So we wanted to make sure there was enough blending that you can kind of go your own path and mix and match the
collector invest. No, that guy's still broken.
Talk about the squirrels next. So black-green
squirrels
is our next archetype.
Yo.
We have Corpse Buried Cultivator, which is a heck of a card name there. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may forage, and whenever you forage, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Talk about this card.
Yeah, so this is telling you just what the squirrels are about doing, which is foraging here. So you can either fill your graveyard and exile cards from your graveyard, or create food and sacrifice food. And this card rewards you for any of your other cards foraging. So it gives you a way to forage, but also whenever any of your other cards ask you to forage, this will get bigger as well. So really kind of ties together all the different things that are going on with the squirrels. And as you're building this deck, you can either choose to lean into the food theme of it, or you can lean into the graveyard theme.
That's right. Hashtag Bloom.
Mid-range deck that's maybe recurring creatures.
Hashtag Bloom.
And our next card that's sticking with the squirrel archetype is the secret unsung hero of this set, which is Puns. So here is Cash Grab. Ian, tell us a little bit more about Cash Grab here.
Yeah, just a nice little smoothing utility spell to give you some card quality and help fill your graveyard, which you can then use to pay for forage costs and so on.
Now, I do want to stick with this because this set is pretty high in puns. Now, I know you're not in the group that names it, but was that kind of intentional? Did you all have a lot of fun with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just so tempting when you're talking about adorable little animals to get in as many puns as you can. And certainly the Vision Design team handed off a bunch of cards with, at the time, playtest names that had puns in the names. A lot of those changed over time, but in the end, the creative team did a great job making sure to capture that fun and flavor.
All right. The next one is not a pun, but let's look at Valley Rotcaller. So one thing I want to note here, and this was highlighted in the debut,
loving it. So many squirrels.
Sort of the batching of creatures here. So can you talk a little bit about the squirrels, bats, lizards, and rats?
Yeah, so this is something we refer to as batched creature typal, meaning that we're combining several creature types together. This is something we came up with during set design because we realized we wanted a strong emphasis on the creature types because these are lovable different types of animals that people are going to want to be able to build decks around. But a lot of these creature types are either appearing for the first time in Bloomburrow, or there just aren't very many cards, or there aren't very many strong cards throughout Magic's history that have these creature types. So we realized that if we wanted to care about the creature types in some way, we wanted to broaden things a little bit so that you could maybe combine a couple different types of animals together or play it with your choice of whichever is.
They're getting their dual, but raised to like
cycle of rares
foiling,
here,
like
gilded
gilded
rot color that are calling out
and anime
4
cards
different
are going to
creature
be the
types
big
each,
chase.
and the way that works is that those are the 4 creature types that appear in black. So the black-white bats, the black-blue squirrels, the black-blue rats, black-green squirrels, and black-red.
For any of you that
so the 4
do
creature types that appear on the
arena, we got some
This card
codes
in
here.
particular
They're still
looks
good.
pretty powerful for a 2-drop.
Yeah, I mean, Oliver can maybe speak more to that, but there's definitely packs a punch here.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and start off with this bad boy. You guys can read it.
Effectively unblockable, drain damage. Definitely does a lot. Got to make sure to have 2 blockers for this one.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we'll stick with you, Oliver, and we'll talk about mice, which, well, arguably the most adorable creature type in this set. They are also pretty aggressive, Oliver.
Yep.
Oh, hell yeah, Walter.
Mice are about valiant, which is like a heroic like mechanic or ability word. But
hey, Michael
has some
Stubacker.
key differences from heroic. It also triggers off abilities, so works with equipments and targeted activated abilities on other creatures. But it only works once per turn. So it's more about having a bunch of different valiant creatures and then triggering all those in your turn, rather than the typical heroic gameplay, which is more about just having one heroic creature and then putting a bunch of pump effects onto that one creature.
You guys aren't in already. It's
and then,
hashtag Bloom.
so what are the mice trying to do then when you're drafting them?
Yeah, I'd say you want to have a good combination of valiant creatures, and I feel like equipment are the most powerful way to enable these because you could just pay the equip cost for each of your valiant creatures and trigger all of them in one turn. But also like combat tricks or like bite effects go a long way to enabling these.
All right. Well, let's go back to Ian, and we've already talked a little bit about raccoons, but let's say see Junk Blade Bruiser and talk more about raccoons.
Raccoons are in red and green, and they're the biggest of the main supported creature types in Bloomburrow. So we wanted to emphasize that they go a little bit bigger than some of the other creature types by using the expend mechanic that we talked about earlier on. So this is, again, when you spend your expend 4 is when you spend your 4th mana or more on casting spells in a turn. You get a big bonus here. And once again, you can do that either by casting just one big spell.
Yeah, right. Where's the bear?
Mana, or dividing it up among a few other spells. And it leads to some pretty interesting strategic gameplay. For example, if I have this out already and I play a 2-drop creature before I attack, you might get a little suspicious. Does that mean I have a two cost instant spell in my hand that I'm going to cast during combat? So you can kind of set things up in that way, or even set up some interesting bluffs where you're sort of threatening the expend happening at instant speed. So pretty neat stuff there.
Now, I do want to call out here, the expend only works on spells, correct?
Correct.
Not abilities?
Yeah, we did at times during set design, we tried it out with working on activated abilities like sacrificing food, for example. But it turned out it was a little bit too easy and a little bit too on board, right? Where you could trick your opponent with sort of like face-up ways to spend a bunch of mana at instant speed. So we ended up going with just the spell mechanic, and it plays a lot better.
All right. Oliver, let's move on to the green-white creature type, which is rabbits, which I know is going to be a favorite of many. So here we've got Head of the Homestead. Look at that adorable little bunny crew there. When Head of the Homestead enters, you create 2 1/1 white rabbit creature tokens, which are going to be those adorable tokens on the right there. So Oliver, tell us about the green-white rabbits.
Yeah, rabbits are naturally about going wide. Just want to make a bunch of rabbit tokens and then play like a mass pump effect to kill your opponent that way.
Yeah, and we saw a rare version of this in the debut, which is Phineas Ace Archer. So tell us a little bit about Phineas, Oliver.
Yeah, so Phineas is just one of those go wide payoffs. It obviously works with rabbits, but for more backwards compatibility, it also just works with tokens in general. So if you're building a constructed deck, you could just build a normal green-white tokens deck that doesn't necessarily have a lot of rabbits.
Caustic.
Effects.
And that's a commonality among, we actually have a cycle of these legendary creatures at rare, one for each of the color pairs and hence creature types. And for many of them, we wanted to make them work really well mechanically with what the creature type was doing in the set, but be a little bit more generic. So it's not locked in. For example, Phineas isn't locked in just being a rabbit only card. Like as Oliver said, it works with just any old token deck.
All right. We're sticking with rabbits for a second to stay on the pun train. Here's Hop to It.
Wow.
Oliver, how does Hop to It fit into the set besides being punny?
Yeah, so it's just a easy way to go.
It was
wide
a
with
bunny
rabbits,
punny.
basically just an army in a can. These kind of cards have had success in the past, and hopefully this one will do good work for your standard rabbit deck.
All right. Let's move back into frogs. Ian, so we got a pretty simple preview card here, Pond Prophet, which doesn't have the frog mechanic on it, but it's indicative of what frogs are trying to do, correct?
Yeah, frogs are, they're very much about enter the battlefield effects, and that's because the frog mechanics involve sort of blinking and bouncing your frogs from the battlefield into exile, then back onto the battlefield or back to your hand so you can cast them again. So it's very much like a value-oriented deck where you're trying to reuse these enter the battlefield effects turn after turn. And so as the frog deck builds up its board, it sort of gets to a late game state where it's sort of a value engine type of a deck where you're drawing lots of cards and getting lots of
right.
in terms of +1/+1
Caustic,
counters and
that's a
other
good
things
call.
like that by using your frogs multiple times.
All right. Someone just noted this in chat, and it's been out there for a little bit, but we haven't really talked about it officially. Can you talk a little bit about just enters? For the longest time, we've been using enters the battlefield. We've now shortened it to enters.
Yeah, this is new with Bloomburrow, and it's something we're going to be doing going forward with our templates. We are always thinking about our rules and templates and the words that go on our cards and trying to streamline that and make that a better experience for our players. So we're very much, trying not to be stuck in the past that, enters the battlefield were the old words that we were using for quite a long time, but we realized we can just shorten that, take some words off the card, make it read more naturally, with natural English language, and just kind of simplify things going forward.
All right. Final archetype here, Oliver. Birds. Blue-white birds. We have Seed Pod Squire
Seed
here.
Pod.
Say that 5 times fast. And when it attacks target creature you control without flying, gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Oliver, that's a pretty unique line right there.
Yeah. Birds are definitely pretty weird. Because all the birds have flying, but they want to work with non-flyers. This is largely a concession to limited, just because having like 2 between birds and bats of archetypes where all your creatures have flying just leads to pretty boring gameplay where you can't really block any of your opponent's creatures. So birds are more about combining the birds with creatures from the other archetypes to enable the non-flying thresholds.
All right.
And that's also reflective of some of the creative elements of Bloomburrow, where the birds are just sort of like helpful creatures that are kind of around helping everybody else out. So it makes sense both from a mechanical standpoint and a flavor standpoint. And one of my secret favorite archetypes to draft is birds plus mice, because a lot of the birds have ways of triggering the Valiant ability. For example, giving another mouse flying, which then makes it evasive, but also triggers its Valiant.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. And then our next bird card is because I get to pick these, and it's a pun. So it's Strike Force. But this is flying, double strike, vigilance. What are we doing with this card in limited, Oliver?
It's a strong standalone card. I also like it in the mouse decks because you're going to have combat tricks. So you could pump this up for a lot of damage.
Yep.
Now, how, I mean, obviously you're designing white cards that are white and blue cards that are blue, but overall, you mentioned they're putting this in mice decks. How much did you pay attention to colors versus hybrid versus gold cards to make sure that they fit in different archetypes in different ways?
It was definitely something we thought a lot about. We wanted to make sure that the set, as I said earlier, wasn't too siloed and that things blended together a little bit. So in choosing, whether a card was monocolor or hybrid or gold. Like a lot of it is how easy it is to cast and how many decks can it go in. So largely we tried to aim the gold cards at being very directional and teaching you what the archetypes are about. The monocolor cards being sort of a little bit more flexible than that, where they go in the archetypes, but they might be, generically useful enough that they can go in a neighboring archetype instead. And then the hybrid ones we tried to make sort of like a little bit instructional as to what that color pair is doing, but also generically useful so that they can slot into other decks. If you're short on playables, you can reach for a hybrid card that was sort of meant for another deck, but can slot into yours.
All right. And then here you can see all 10 of the common hybrid cards. Are there other hybrid cards in the set? Are these the only ones?
No, I believe these are the only ones. Yeah, just the 10 commons.
Okay. Before we leave mechanics, we're going to go on to Calamity Beast next, but there was a question I wanted to
I've done a cycle like that before,
chat, which was about the expend mechanic. And the question was, can you trigger or meet the requirements for expend on your opponent's turn as well?
You can on your opponent's turn as well. It's obviously a little bit harder to spend a lot of mana on your opponent's turn, but you can do it. And one other rules thing that comes up often with expend is that you can only meet the certain expend threshold once per turn, regardless of sort of how you divided it up or what order things come into play. It's looking at the whole turn from start to finish, how much mana you've spent up until that point.
Okay. And again, if you want to dive deep into the mechanics, there will be a mechanics article that will go up on dailymtg.com at the conclusion of this stream. All right, Ian, we're going to go back to you to talk about Calamity Beasts. So we saw some in the debut, but let's go over it again. What are Calamity Beasts?
So we've seen lots of small, little, adorable animals, but as with any Magic set, we want to make sure that we have variety in the cards that we're showing you here. So we have some big, powerful, heavy hitters as well. These are the Calamity Beasts here, and from a creative standpoint, they sort of represent like walking natural disasters. Like the giant blackbird shows up and brings nightfall with it, or the giant fish swims up, the Leviathan fish swims up and brings a tidal wave with it, that sort of thing. So we tried to give them sort of big, destructive powers to contrast the mostly like helpful and community-oriented smaller animals that are part of the 10 main archetypes.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at our preview of a Calamity Beast here. We've got Beza the Bounding Spring. I am going to read this one because there is a lot going on with this 4/5 elemental elk. When it enters, create a treasure token, and if an opponent controls more lands than you, you gain 4 life, and an opponent has more life than you, you get 2 1/1 blue fish creature tokens if an opponent controls more creatures than you, and you draw a card if an opponent has more cards than you. So, Ian, what's going on with this?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that most of the Calamity Beasts are destructive, but this is sort of an exception to that rule, being the mono white one of this particular cycle. And this is bringing with it, sort of bringing springtime with it, and bringing lots of sort of bounty and benefits reminiscent of cards we've seen in the past, like timely reinforcements. And this is interesting white color pie space where it's saying like if your opponent is outpacing you and they're ahead of you in a certain aspect of the game, that you're catching up a little bit with this ability here.
Very cool. Now we saw one, Oliver, I'm going to go to you for this next one. We saw one in the debut article. That was on the destructive side. So we've got Maad's Feathers Knight here. That's an interesting line with creatures your opponents control have base toughness 1.
Yeah, a lot of interesting things you could do with this card. Combine it with like engineered plague type of cards in Commander, and give your opponents a bad time that way. And it's just a solid, hard to kill body by itself that does a lot of damage.
Feathers is crazy,
and also enables a lot of attacks. Like even if your opponent has a 6/6 blocker in play, you could start attacking with your 1/1s and whatnot.
Yeah,
you imagine that with.
I don't recall, Ian. Have we talked about borderless field notes yet?
We don't.
Let's cover again where borderless field notes are found.
Yeah, so these are specifically to the Calamity Beast. There's 8 cards in the set, 7 mythic, 1 rare. They're all Calamity Beasts, and they can appear. This treatment can appear in both foil and non-foil, in both collector boosters and play boosters.
All right, very cool. Next up, Oliver, we're going to run through. We've seen a couple of these, but the next 5 cards are a series of uncommons that you can get in promo packs through your local game store. So we've seen Hop to It, Shoreline Looter, Wear Down, and Stormcatch Mentor, and then we've got Fell in the middle there, which destroy target creature for 2 mana. Oliver, that's a new line of text.
Yep, just very exciting catch-all removal spell. I just like how clean it is. but it has to be a sorcery, whereas a lot of these variants of these cards are instants. So that's the compensation for just being able to destroy anything.
Yeah. I also have to call out that art there. We used that art pretty early on the set, but that's some pretty fantastic art on Fel right there.
Yep. Yeah, all these
Nice.
cards are not the most splashy cards, but they're very strong workhorse cards that will probably make an impact on a variety of archetypes, even outside of just the Bloomburrow types.
So I did notice, you've got a white card, a blue card, a black card, a green card, a gold card. You guys know how you ended up on that instead of grabbing a red card?
I think we were just mostly looking for just appealing cards and sort of the broader aspect of Magic, where even if you're not like super zeroed in on Bloomburrow specifically, that these are useful cards to you. So.
All right, cool. Okay, next up, we are going to talk about one of the most fun and exciting aspects of the set, which is the Imagine Courageous Critters. So these are cards that are reimagined as if they went into Bloomburrow. Because if you don't know, Bloomburrow has as the plane has this effect where if you come in, you become some kind of animal. Now, some of the courageous critters were already animals, but they get Bloomburrowized a little bit, which is really fun. So first, before we talk about these, Ian, tell us a little bit about where you can find courageous critters and what their legality is, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so this treatment, as you said, they're reimagined pre-existing Magic cards, so they're not going to be made standard legal by appearing in these forms. These are just legal in whatever formats they're already legal, but these are cool new versions of them. And they're available in both foil and non-foil, but these ones are only available in collector boosters specifically.
Okay.
Of course.
The one exception to that is that Ral is not an Imagine Courageous Critter. It's in the main set, correct?
That's right, yes.
Yeah. Yep. And as you'll see with our first preview card, they are not all Planeswalkers. So the first one, I've already seen chat calling this card forth with several of the squirrel cards. But this is Chatterfang Squirrel General. We've got that.
Yep, collector booster only.
Middle there, and then
got a pretty good deal on ours. So
anime card, and as you can see, it's going to be in a commander deck as well. All right, and then now we've got a pair of reimagined Planeswalkers. This one, I love this art. That's all I'm going to say. When we see Nissa, who shakes the world as a frog.
Nice. I do like that.
Yeah, do you know how
the special art one? That's pretty sweet.
What animals these creatures?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
We're going to have to get some people.
Yeah. Love to find some of the stories, though.
Yeah. That's a good plug. Next week, we are going to talk about that. So next week, we're actually going to reveal the slate of courageous critters beyond what is revealed today. And we're going to talk about
Frog Booty Shaker
and concepting for those. But first, Nissa, who shakes the world as
shakes
a
frog.
And then we have Liliana of the Dark Realms as a squirrel.
I knew she was going to be a Necro Squirrel. Called it.
Evil looking.
That's really cool. I love the color scheme.
Nice.
Okay, yeah. So there are there are two types of the courageous critters. They're the ones that are found in the commander. There are ones that are found in the collector boosters, and then there are 4
I knew
that
she's
are
going to be a Necro Squirrel. That's so badass.
That's right. Yeah, 4 exclusives to the commander decks.
Yep, and we saw the Tamio in the debut video. We'll see the rest as we look at the commander decks. Finally, we saw these in the debut as well, but I want to talk about one of the more delightful things you can open in packs, which are the seasonal basics. Ian, what's the story with the basics here?
So these are super sweet, sort of borderless, full art basic lands that are available in both foil and non-foil, in both the collector boosters and play boosters. And what's really cool about these is each of the basic lands has 4 different seasons that it's available in. So you can collect all of those or choose your favorite one. And it's worth noting that the different seasons appear at different frequencies. So I don't have the exact numbers on that, but I believe spring and summer are a little bit more common than, for example, the winter ones.
Yeah, which makes sense because that's their seasons of plenty. It makes sense. It's also in the collecting article where you can see the exact breakdown of how often you'll find spring, summer, autumn, and the chilly winter ones.
Oh, it's not part of the story. It's like a what if situation.
All right. And then finally,
Only
before
Raoul's
we
the
get to, we have a
real
little bit of time for questions.
Planeswalker for the
So we've got a couple
set.
more preview cards, and then we'll dive into some Q&A. And so let's look at just a couple adorable little preview cards. So this is
Dude, I need that so bad. Juggalo, oh my god.
But that art, the flavor text, it's adorable. Runaway Together is always a really cute card whenever we reprint it, and this is no exception.
Again, if you guys don't know yet, it's hashtag Bloom.
Nobody bothered
Hashtag
to
Bloom.
look for Lebo and Pula because everybody knew they didn't want to be found. That's some sweet art there. All right.
That's cute.
Flipping the script, but again, this is just art I like, I guess, is the category we're in. Ruthless Negotiation. Now, Ian, I will call out that we haven't seen a ton of flashback in this set, and this card has flashback all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's because there isn't a ton of flashback in this set. There's actually just one black uncommon,
right, Collector Invest,
blue uncommon, I believe, unless I'm forgetting maybe a rare or two. But it was just a little light addition there. We've sort of decided that flashback is something that is sort of deciduous, that it can appear, from time to time in sets without being a major mechanic. And it just made sense to have a couple flashback cards here, given the graveyard themes of the rats and the squirrels. So you just see a little bit of hint of that in the set.
A little bit, yeah. And again, with some fantastic art here. And then finally, Repel Calamity is some art we used really early on, and we figured we might as well show what the card actually does here. So we've seen in a lot of variations of this destroy target big creature sort of thing. So how did we land at Repel Calamity?
Sort of the next in line of a variant here. We just want to make sure that there was a little bit more removal available, especially for the large Calamity beasts that appear at higher rarity, especially now that we're moving into the new play booster world where there's more rares appearing in the drafts and stuff. We just want to make sure there's just a little bit more availability of answers.
Makes sense. And also fantastic art. And I honestly swear to you, did not put together Repel Calamity and the fact that this kills Calamity Beasts together until just this moment. So good job naming team. Finally, we do have the set symbols here just to put them out there because this shows you what. So we got Bloomburrow, the main set. We've got the commander in the middle and special guests. That is the same special guests symbol that we use for all of the special guests. All right, we do have time for some questions. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in chat. It helps for me if you tag @Magic, and we will ask Ian and Oliver about these. So let's start with tell me there is a bat Sorin. You can't actually tell them
yet,
that.
but we may find out down the road.
Let's see. All right. First, just the art is amazing. And then will there be support for 3 colors in Limited, since you probably want to mix and match at least 2 creature types?
Yeah, so we definitely made sure there's ample mana fixing in Limited. And certainly throughout playtesting, people did definitely splash or play 3 colors. For example, I mentioned earlier that like rats and squirrels play well together. If you want to build a Sultai deck, these aren't the primary strategies. I wouldn't imagine that, you've got 4 people at a draft table doing 3+ colors or anything like that. But if you want to, you certainly can. And we definitely put the tools in the set to be able to do that.
All right. Will all 14 cards in play boosters be from the Bloomburrow main set and standard playable?
Yeah, I believe that's correct. I'd have to double check on that. Let me not commit to an answer on that yet. We might have some more information for you.
I believe you can get
there's D Lawson
on one. Yeah, but let's not commit to that right now.
Yeah.
All right. With the paw prints, so the seasons, do you get the pause to spend just from casting the modal spell, or it is a separate resource you can get in different ways?
Yeah, we touched on that earlier, but yeah, just to clarify that again, those spells are totally self-contained. So when every time you cast a spell, you get sort of 5 points worth to spend on the modes. There's no external way of getting additional points, before you cast the spell, and you can't carry any over to the next spell. It's just totally self-contained.
All right. Can I break a promise when I gift? I'm not really a gift-giving kind of person.
It's a good question. Good question. So the way gift works, and again, we'll have a whole rules FAQ and stuff like that. But basically, as you cast the spell, you're making the decision of whether to promise the gift to your opponent or not.
Yep.
And then when the spell resolves, they receive the gift as the spell is resolving. So if somebody counterspells the spell or it fizzles for whatever reason, your opponent won't get the gift if you're not also getting the spell effect.
All right. This is the most important question. Blake, what would you be if you went to Bloomburrow? And we'll all answer this. I have my answer ready because our team actually talked about this yesterday. I would be either an otter or a rat, probably depending on my mood. I leaned otter, but I have to be
definitely rat.
Sometimes I'd probably be a rat. Ian.
Good question. I think I'd probably be a bird of some sort because I like
I'd
helping
be a
other people
mofo
out
squirrel.
and being generally useful to the communities around me. Probably an owl, maybe, just because sometimes I kind of like to stay
little curveball,
stay a little bit
like
aloof
right.
and kind of playing into the wise elder kind of aspect or whatever.
Yeah. Oliver.
I would definitely be an otter. I just like
furry
casting
guys
spells and frolicking in the river. Sounds like a good lifestyle.
It does.
Oh, you can tell he frolics.
Hold hands with each other. Anyway. All right. Was there any intentionality to create cards with text boxes with fewer words or simpler mechanics?
Yeah, you'd be a clam.
Yeah, it's always something that we're thinking about. There's always a careful balance between making cards that are, simpler and more accessible and have fewer words on them versus making things that are exciting.
Yes, thank you, Cathartic.
Wow
like,
fans of
subscribe,
Magic
do the
that have been playing
things.
for
Also
5,
put
8,
in
10 years, right?
hashtag
So
Bloom.
it's always a little bit of a push and
I
pull.
only got
there,
one
and
set,
it's
one
always
winner.
sort of a value calculation of like, are these extra words worth it versus can we trim some words and still get 95%
Oliver be an ostrich
out of this card.
All right.
A parasite.
Is the dragon bird from a different plane than
Is it an
Bloomburrow?
apple or a peach?
It seems odd. We don't have any other dragons.
Yeah, I don't want to necessarily spoil anything. I think there might be some more information, but it's a great question, and you're definitely catching on to the right.
Yeah, Ian.
Yep, we saw a lot of. I will call out to all of the Bloomburrow
Be a
story
tapeworm.
is out.
Ew.
It's 5 episodes. The last episode came out yesterday, so you can read it all again on dailymtg.com. If you haven't read it yet, there's also an audio version of all 5 stories, all out already. So if you're more the podcasting type, you can listen to the Bloomburrow story being read. So if you haven't checked out the story, from what I've seen, it's been really well received. So there are 5 episodes to either read or listen to right now. Let's see. Are we getting more sable and or ferret creatures in Bloomburrow? We did see that there are some kind of one-ofs here and there for some different creature types. So sable or ferret?
I don't want to speak to either of those specifically, just because I don't recall exactly where a bunch of the sort of one-off creatures landed with their final creature types and art treatments and things like that. But there are, like you said, lots of one-off creatures. We called them cameo creatures throughout set design, of just making sure that in addition to the 10 majorly supported creature types, that we had a variety of other animals for folks who are fans of those, and just to kind of convey the variety of the plane in general.
Cool. I saw a question about when we're going to show off the special guest cards. That's going to be next week's show. We're going to talk about special guest cards, and we're going to talk about courageous critters, basically things that have some really cool art treatments. We're going to talk about. We're going to have some art folk on the show next week. Let's see. Whoa, jumped on me here. Let's see. Is the list back with Bloomburrow? So that's no, it's special guests. So yes and no.
Yeah, and that goes back to the earlier question of like, are all of the cards in the play boosters from the main set? And I believe you're right that we do have the special guests.
Special guests can show up, and they are the ones that are a little bit different. Yep. Will we get a board wipe? You can say yes or no.
Yeah, in fact, I think we saw a variant of one earlier, right? In the Black
Season of Loss can be a kind of board wipe. Yeah. Does Offspring always cost 2?
No, it's not necessarily always 2. The ones we saw were, but there are a variety of costs for Offspring.
Yep. Is Offspring multi-kicker? So this is a good clarification. Can you pay it once, twice?
You can only pay it once, so you can only get at most one additional 1/1 copy.
All right. Are there going to be a lot of food making spells?
Yeah, there's definitely a good amount of food in the set. It's both a great flavor fit in terms of the pastoral environment, and then also plays into the squirrel mechanic specifically. One thing we try to do is give you other things to do with your
Yeah,
food
it's just
rather than
special guests
sacrificing
now.
it to gain
I think
life,
they have lists.
just because that can kind of tend to inflate life totals and make limited games go longer.
Mhm.
So you'll see lots
So they'll
of
have 10
things to do
special
with food in
guests.
addition to the
We
food
saw
itself.
one of them.
Okay. Oliver, I think this is a good question for
Cheddarfink might be
you.
one as well.
How do you
not sure.
balance the power of the set with the fact that most of the creatures are small?
Yeah. Yeah. So for limited, the raccoons tend to be on the bigger side, so it helps like give them a clear identity. And then for constructed, it's actually kind of nice because cheaper cards tend to be stronger in constructed, so it's easy to make a lot of like the rares and exciting legendary cards in the set on the cheaper side to give them a better shot in constructed.
Yeah, I think it's just special guests now. But don't
did
quote
you ever
me, Duel.
consider heroic instead of valiant?
They talked about that before.
We didn't specifically.
Oh, dude, I
consider
called it
heroic.
S90.
The
I
vision
freaking
design team
called
did
that she'd
hand
be a
off
necro
Valiant
squirrel,
more or
dude,
less
and she
where it is
was.
right
I'm
now. We
like,
did
hell
try
yeah.
a couple different variants of Valiant in terms
The
of
particular Lily they
being
picked
able to trigger
though,
multiple times per turn, and
but
what things
still
didn't trigger
freaking
it,
cool.
before settling on the final version. Heroic specifically, I will say,
Yep.
having worked on sets like Theros in the past,
We
requires a
touched
lot of
base on
set
this
infrastructure
before.
around it, and here we mainly
They
wanted
started
Valiant
doing
to
that and
just be a
transitioned
mouse mechanic,
in
which
Lost
is really
Caverns.
like a 1/10 slice of the set, right? Because it's just one of the 10 color pairs. So we knew we wanted something that was a little bit easier to do and sort of a
Yeah,
tighter
exactly, Duel.
floor and ceiling between the not triggering it. And
But they're all
triggering it as
mythic,
compared to
and they
heroic, so
cheese in
that's kind of where we landed on Valiant as the hero
uncommons,
pairing.
rares, and commons in
I
that
did see a
slot.
question about
But
whether
they
you can
are
open
hard to pull.
commander cards and play boosters, asking for draft. I believe the answer for this set is no. Looking at the breakdown, and again, after the show, you can head to dailymtg.com and the full collecting article will be up. But just looking at the breakdown of play boosters, it says that each play booster will contain 6 to 7 commons. Some of those play boosters will contain a card from the list, which is what we're talking about, instead of a common. And then the list says cards found on the list in Bloomburrow are special guest cards. So that's the only slot where you can get sort of non-main set cards out of. Oh, actually, I say that. There's a wild card slot. Read the article. It's I don't.
Yeah, just read the article. Don't make me work.
100%. Yeah, we'll get that answer afterwards. Let's see. With the magic cards, so I think this is referring to the tokens having converted mana cost. Does this mean other cards like Roxanne's Meteorite token now has a 5 mana value? So this isn't a rule change, right? This is just how the Offspring mechanic works?
Yeah. In order to make Offspring as simple as possible, just being able to say, hey, it's a copy of the creature, except it's 1/1 is the simplest way we can convey that. But in doing so, the rules then say that it's also inheriting the mana cost. So we want to make sure that that mana cost was reflected on the token, but in a way that didn't trick you into thinking the token was its own individual mana, its own individual magic card that you could put in your deck. So that's why it says down in the text box of the token, sort of in reminder text, that it has the mana cost.
That makes sense. Let's see. I'm seeing a number of good questions. Any arena questions? Head to the arena blog after this. There will be an
they are
arena
deleting
article
all
going
of
up,
the mentions of
that will
banning
cover at
Nadu.
least some of these questions.
Wow.
I'm trying to get through this quickly because we are almost out of time. I am seeing questions about whether Phyrexians missed Bloomburrow during the invasion. I don't think you guys know. That's not your area of expertise.
That might be a question for next week when the art.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later. So here is going to be our final question, because I know you can answer this one. How many Calamity Beasts are there? And then what sort of color identities do we get for the Calamity Beasts?
Ooh, that's tough. You're really testing my memory.
I am. How many I think you can do?
So how many total Calamity Beasts are there? I want to say there's around 10 total.
Okay.
Yeah, between like 8 and 10-ish.
Okay.
Plus minus.
Oh no, I said that
color identity.
anyone asking
Color
about
identity.
banning
So we do have
Nadu
a
is
cycle
getting
of mythic,
killed on the chat
monocolor
here.
Calamity Beasts, and then
On
there's sort of just
their
a
chat, not
smattering of
mine.
them in different color combinations at rare.
Okay.
Including the one multicolor one that we saw earlier. Yeah.
The one that turns
so
everything into
they're
food,
not
yeah.
hard cycled in a way, which is part of why it's a little bit tough to tell you exactly how many are in the set off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But it's basically a cycle of 5 mythics plus a smattering of rare ones.
you guys are just tuning in, make sure
Great.
you guys
Well,
like and
that is
subscribe.
all the time we have. That's
And
our
go
hour.
ahead and
But
put in
Bloomburrow is going
#Bloom.
to march on. Previews are going to continue throughout the internet. Today, tomorrow, into next week, we are going to be back on Weekly MTG next week. And again, we're going to be talking art. We are specifically going to be looking at special guest cards and the Courageous Critters to talk about concepting those and doing a lot of fun stuff with that art. So head to dailymtg.com after this for all of the details on all of the things, including a list of where to find previews on what days and what websites or social media accounts or wherever it may be. Until then, thank you, Ian. Thank you, Oliver, and we will see you next week.
Oh yeah. So what do you guys think? I'm still pretty excited. They got lizards for me to mess with, raccoons and squirrels in my color pie. You got mouse, you got bats, you got otters. A lot of fun. Tribal or Typal or Kindred, what have you. Yeah. Brian still says it's Animal Crossing, right? Okay. Well, here you go, guys. That's what the giveaway is. One lucky winner. It is #Bloom. #Bloom. Again, I've been posting throughout that I do have the battles set up and already in the Discord. If you're not on social media, you can email me. That is, calm down, you. That is djlonghairorig @gmail.com. So if you don't do social media, you got it right there. Also posted in the description of all my videos. But yeah, if you haven't joined the Discord yet, please jump on in. Yeah, this must be like a Strixhaven set. Well, yeah, basically. You have it's a dual color. People thought it was gonna be 3-color. Nah. There's 3-color in it, but you know. Not sold. More interested in Duskmorn. Okay. Well, the your question from earlier was there's gonna be raised foils, kind of like gilded, but I don't know, man. For me, there's as a player, I'm more excited for this set. So Duskmorn's gonna be fun. Don't get me wrong, but I'm excited for this one. Like I said, I've been wanting a full like pure squirrel tribal deck for like ever. Now we finally got some good squirrels. I'm like, or squirrels in general. I'm freaking stoked. You think that Duskmorn will get the fixed Cauldron Familiar? Really interesting. Yeah. So, guess we'll play that one for a minute. All right, let's see who's in the giveaway right now. Only one winner. So Benson, Brian Fish, Brian Giles, Cathartic Cards, Caustic, Juggalokev, Michael Subacker, S90, and Stormtrooper. If you guys want in on pretty much 5 cards that are almost in every single commander deck and need some extra commander love, there it is. Get on in. #Bloom. And I don't know if someone snagged this one already, but there you go. Got one more giveaway. While you're staring at these cards, there you go. Grab it. Let me know you got it. Oh, yeah. All right, check it. All right. Thank you, Brian, for jumping on in. We'll mark you down in the Discord. Woot woot. I'm going to do that now. Shoot. All right. That puts us down to 5 more in the play booster. Ideally, I'd like to close out more, but let's focus on this box because this is already on order and we got to pay for it. Awesome. Thank you, Brian. All right, that has been updated. Whoop whoop. Bloomers. All right, I don't know if anyone got that code, but let's go. All right, Nuttybot, do your thing. Let's go. Good luck, everyone. Here goes. Hey, cathartic cards. Well, let's see the exclamation point rigged in the chat. Congratulations, girl. Hey, you. I'll add that. I think I have you over here. Let me find you real quick. Oh, and I don't know if you saw cathartic, but you have some goodies from Stormtrooper as well. Nice. Well, now you got to start to another commander deck. Congrats. All right. Did any of you guys want to talk about any of the cards? I did manage to snag a few screenshots. None of the planeswalkers at the end, but we got a good majority of them. Me personally, I gotta see my squirrels again. Oh yeah. If I can find him. Okay, there's one. All right. So exile 3 cards from your graveyard or sack of food to forage. So when you forage, you get a 1/1 counter. Nice. This thing's a beast. For sure. Essence gnarly. I heard that, Walter. Yeah. But this thing's going to be gnarly. I mean, it's kind of like an auto board wipe with Elish Norn for sure. Well, the old school one anyway. But, yeah. And then ping everything for 1. Bruh. Is gnarly. So we got one of the special guest cards. Sword of Fire and Ice in the new format. Or not in format, but new art. I wonder if they're going to do anything else with it. What? Bruh. Try it again. There we go. It's funny that it's a fish. I mean, right? Trying to find my other squirrels. There we go. Well, I'm surprised they kept this one relatively short, too. Like, under an hour and a half almost. Oh, yeah. There's my other squirrel. Bet. So yeah, definitely have to have your food in play or your excellent cards. But if you cast a spell this way, creature enters in with a finality counter. All right, bring that back. But that is pretty sick. Love it for me, squirrels. Hell yeah. Squirrels get a mana dork. Bet. Really? He shot up that much? Nice. Oh, hold on. Yeah, I actually have to get the money in on that soon. Fortunately, can't float. Oh, yeah. Toski should be shooting up too. Hell yeah. And no mention of Swarmyard in anything, but that could potentially be a special guest card. I had predicted that a while back on that for sure. But yeah, Toski should be shooting up a little bit as well. Matter of fact, it's in the game. Loaded squirrel. Woot woot. Oh, yeah. We got... we're going to fire the first one this Saturday. I have not posted any or done the thumbnail yet, as if I post early, it sometimes messes on the messes with the Naughty Bot giveaway sometimes. So, but eventually I will get that up. Here you go. Here's the current on it. Oh, no, not yet. So we are firing the first part. We're going to do a little bit less than half of the VIP and half the scroll value list. But we're keeping the super squirrel wheel alone until we sell out. So we got about 180 pulls left to sell to close out the thing. But we have our first contestants coming up here this Saturday. So let me get a screenshot of this for you guys. Lots of goodies in here. I know Toski's definitely in the game itself, but we'll share it out here. Just 1 second. Love that card. Love the squirrels. So you're gonna definitely have to have some food in your deck. A very expensive tutor on a squirrel or stick, you know, what have you. But yeah. But here's where we're at with the loaded squirrel. Trying to get those last few in. Get in their $5 pulls. Lots of value throughout the whole game. Including the pulls themselves, and then you have these bad boys that get your name in on the wheel. So it's $5 a pull. You got 25, get in on that green wheel, and 5 pulls. You have the VIP, which is 10 pulls, and you get a bonus one. You get in on the green wheel and the VIP exclusive wheel. There's no ways to win entries for that in the game itself. And the super VIP, which will get you in all 3. So that one you get 20 pulls and 3 bonus pulls, as well as an entry in on each wheel. So if you guys want to hop in, holler at a baller. It is you can hit me up in Discord on that, or just go ahead and shoot in for which one you want to jump in. There is some squirrels in there. Oh, yeah, for sure. If you pull a regular squirrel, it is a entry into that green wheel. If you pull a foil, you get in the purple. Plus, you get a bonus pull. If you get that super space squirrel, you get in on the purple wheel. And 2 bonus pulls. Pretty cool. Yeah. Hey, Hillbilly, how you doing? Yeah, dude. I saw you on we pointed you out on the live there, bro. On the Twitch stream. I saw you, bro. I saw you. Well, yeah, I'm pretty stoked for the set. It's very cool. Very well put together. It, you know, your duals or dual colors, very prominent through all out. So, pretty cool. I'm stoked on mine. Rakdos gets lizards. Gruul gets the raccoons, and I get my squirrels and Gogori. So pretty stoked. Yeah, those are cool. Definitely. All right. All right, and I just updated the play booster battle. Still got seats left there. Oh, you clipped me. Yeah, it's a bummer on the Planeswalkers. The special variant ones have to get the collectors. I'm like, bruh. Bruh. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure, bro. I think I have till next week until I have to get that in. I'll confirm. I'm not sure this will be the early batch, but it'll probably like shipped on the day of release. So I'll see what's up with that. But yeah. We have the battle seats still available. If you guys want to order your own box, just holler at me. On the commander sets too, we should have pricing on that very, very soon. Oh, nice. You're going to Gen Con, or are you talking about Magic Con? Gen Con, right? Nice, dude. Yup, I called it. I said she's going to be a Necro Squirrel. What was it? Of the Dark Realm or something? It's not one of the most strongest Lily cards, but it's still badass. Yeah, Gen Con. Gotcha. Oh, dude. I know. I'm pretty stoked, man. Is there any cards that you guys want to talk about? Because I got most of them downloaded. So let me know. Also, we're probably going to wrap up here soon. Where'd it go? There we go. Let's see. Oh, come on, man. Play. Thank you. Dude, that owl's amazing, bro. Yeah, same here, man. Yeah, let me know on that. Also, I sent you a picture. Your package is out to you, brother. Yeah, the owl. Perfect. I'll bring it back up. Yup. This owl's nuts. I didn't grab the fancy version, but this explains. Not really. Doesn't explain anything. But my yaha. Dude, this thing is nuts. 6/5 flyer with trample. And yeah, they're going to have to block with at least 5 creatures to kill this thing. And one would still get through. Pretty gnarly. All right, Walter. Well, stay awesome, brother. And holler if you want any of this. Like I said, it's 14 for the battle. If you want it on the play booster battle, get 3 packs, battle high and low to win additional 3. Collector is 44 for 2 packs, battle high and low to win an additional collector pack. So those are posted and ready to go. Need 5 more for play booster and 3 more for collector. Yeah. It's nuts, bro. Yeah, Brian's thinking Toxerl, dude. Creature's dead. Yup. Just pop this in, then pop in Toxerl. Yeah. It's a little wipe right there. Or, I mean, if you're running white black even, I mean, this with old Elish, just, they're dead. You know, get Elish out, then pop this out, boom. Insta board wipe. See, what else are we looking at? Let's this guy's pretty cool too. That's right. Our trash panda's coming in. I love it. As long as let's see, each non-equipment artifact and non-aura enchantment you control with mana value 4 or greater is a 4/4 elemental in addition. It's pretty gnarly. That is this the face commander? Oh, it is finally rotating? Ah. Well, for commander anyway. This frog, though. Oh, Yarga? Oh, dude, I know. Yarga's amazing. Kind of like the wolf a while back. Elemental kitty cat. So that's pretty crazy. If they are not playing food, they really can't affect this card. So that's a big, like, wow. Oh, I see. Other creatures are food artifacts in addition to their other types and have pay 2, sack it for 3 gain. Whenever food is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put 2 counters on Yarga. Breh. Yeah, I think it's gnarly. Here's the Tameo. They turn her into a rabbit. I guess this is in the commander deck. I gotta see if that Lily is in the commander deck. Maybe I can get a Necro Squirrel that way. Or a Lily Squirrel that way. Let's see. I'm just checking out squirrels unless there's any card you guys want to talk about. Yep, true. They are in Commander, okay. So I'm assuming Lily will be in with my squirrels. Base version. Nice. So just the special treatment, I guess. But you won't be able to pull the fancy planeswalkers except for in collectors or the ones that are set in Commander. This is pretty cool too. It's Frog Wizard. Of course, we've seen it before, but here is the Fox Jace. I wonder if they're going to have that Jace in a Commander deck. Oh boy. That's going to drop them hard if that's the case. No, it's had a lot of reprints, but it hasn't for a minute. I'm hoping to see some more Black Rats. But we got a Rat Wizard. Yeah. All right. Any other cards you guys want to talk about? Hard to tell. I like the let's see. Give me a second here. I think that the Forager is pretty decent. For that tutor on a squirrel. Camellia is interesting too, giving all your squirrels menace. Let me pull up Camellia. Should have grabbed it. This one's interesting. I like that it gives you squirrels menace. And then whenever you sacrifice one or more food, so you got to get food in there somehow, create a 1/1 green creature, a token. Oh yeah, get that squirrel action in there. The 1/1 counter on each other squirrel you control is the forage, which is dope. Chatterfane's going to be busy. Oh, yeah. That one's decent. This one does some work, too. Yeah, so if you have food tokens, this comes in cool. Cast creature spells from your graveyard by foraging, in addition to paying their other mana costs. So a little recursion on a steak, well, on a squirrel, really, which is dope. But there was one other one, which was the commander card. I think it was Camille, though. It had another squirrel. The Manadork and the Cultivator is dope, too. Yeah, hopefully they spoil more, which I'm sure there's already spoilers coming in now. Let me refresh to see if we have any new ones. Yeah, we have Nissa. It's cool. The Necro Squirrel. They do have Lily finally. And the Bird Bard. Oh, we do have another squirrel. Sweet. Hold on a second. All right, we got Hazel. All right, getting some more spoilers coming in right now. All right, we saw Chatter. Here we go. Hazel of the Rot Bloom. 2 black and a green. Pay 2 life. Tap X. Untap tokens you control. Add X mana in any combination of colors. Nice. Beginning of your end step, create a token that's a copy of target token you control. If that token is a squirrel, instead create 2 tokens of a copy of it instead. Nice. Hell yeah. Oh, that's fun too. I like it. Squirrels with options. Very nice. All right. And oh yeah, we got Lily. I freaking called it. It's a good Lily, but not one of the most strongest, but very cool. All right. Oh, yeah, the bird. Yeah, this thing with a bunch of spam little units. Hail ye. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and dip out. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. There may be Chaos Night tonight, so do tune in for that. If you guys want anything Bloomburrow, hit me up. In the description here, you got my email, or you can hop in on Facebook, hit me up there, or in Discord. Again, thanks for watching. Make sure you guys like and comment and subscribe on this later. Much appreciated. We got lots of fun stuff coming up on the channel, so appreciate you. Stay awesome, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.